What's my right? So, everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good however, whenever you are in God's big blue world. So, today, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to session 4. Right, but as per usual, my KPI for each batch, for each group of students I take is 1 out of 3 minimum can trade. This is also quite ambitious, but I think I have the capabilities to ensure that my goal is reached. And after looking through whatever you guys sent me, and after looking through your progress, I dare say that this has already been reached. So my KPI, even though we've only been through 3 sessions, right? Even though we've only been to 3 sessions, I can tell you that, wow, okay. And our and I'm very, very proud of that. And congratulations, everyone. Okay, I've been seeing 500 to 3,000. Okay, I've been seeing 1,000 to 4,000. Okay, I've been seeing some dude turning his $10 into 200. Okay, so congratulations, everyone. Give a clap for yourselves, and I'm very, very happy lah. Okay, and you know what this is. You know what this is. Actually, if we spend more time working on each session, actually the success rate is higher. So here's a little experiment. So if you see my old videos, I teach differently. Sometimes I teach a little different technique, and sometimes I teach differently. And so honestly, life is about experimenting. Life is about continuous improvement. And this one time, I did this once, where because the students, they were like, "Sir, I want this knowledge quick. I want this knowledge quick. I want to get your syllabus done as soon as possible." Okay. So what I did was, okay, I entertained that request. So what I did was, I did 1 class per week. And I was like, okay. So it was done in 5 weeks. So alhamdulillah, at that time, there was no hiccups, there was nothing. So 5 weeks total, done. And so at that time, I had like fucking 12 students at that time, right? And this was like early last year, I think. And the only successful ones were 2 people. So in this, my target is 4 people. So that was the only time I've ever taught, and I didn't meet my KPI, which was 1 out of 3. And so I was like, what? I was like, oh no, why is that? And then I did a little bit of analysis, and I realized that the batches that have the most hiccups, aka delays, tend to be the most successful. You all have already been guided for like what? I think a little bit more than 2 months already at this point. And you guys have had each other. You guys have helped each other together throughout, And I think that's just beautiful. That's beautiful. And I hope even after classes finish, I hope that all of you can still continue together as friends, as teammates, working together to reach one goal. Okay? Because I think trading gets lonely. Okay? So you will need each other to push through lah. Okay? And yes, you guys have me, but one thing about me, I think all my students can confirm, is that I reply less, like even during mentorships, but I make sure I keep my end of the deal. But after mentorships, I reply even lesser. Okay, because my habit is like this. Okay, my habit is like this. After classes, so during classes, okay, so before classes, during classes, after classes. It's how I think about things. Before classes, you guys are strangers. And I don't reply to strangers in my DMs, you know. Every day I will get quite a few DMs, okay? But I don't mind. I've even had this one person come approach me and wanting to pay me a few $1,000 just to teach them. But if I'm not opening mentorships at the moment, I don't care if you offer me even 500K. I'm not taking your offer because I'm not in the mood to teach, you know? So I will only take people when I'm in the mood, aka when you guys are done lah. Okay? Right. So during classes, you guys are my students. And after classes, you guys are people I know. Okay? People I know. And so my habit is that after classes, I usually only respond to the people who have been active in classes, you know, they've made an effort, people who have been, in general, they've been trying to reach out, people who are, I don't know, who have done well, those kind of people. Okay. So yes, it is true that after classes, I kind of disappear, but I don't really disappear. I just talk to the people who I enjoy. So just, you know, like what, who I have a few names already. Like what? We have Vin, we have Tio, you know, we got Josh, we have what, Coin, you know. So these are the kind of people that I'm going to turn into like friends with, you know. So, you know, so don't be scared to interact in the group. Okay. Don't be scared to interact in the group. Don't be scared to put yourself out there, you know. Asan also, Hamdan also, you know. So these kind of people who I remember the names of are the kind of people who I usually respond to in my stories. Okay. So that's the kind of thing. That's how we roll. Okay. Because I can't be in contact with everyone. I have to keep in contact with people who want to keep in contact with me only. So that's just life. Right? So enough chit chat because as usual, during every session I will chit chat first. Okay. So right, okay. I was just wondering, I was just scared that I was just scared just in case my because it's one time, you know, I was talking on and on and on and on, right? I was talking on and on and on and on. And then it turns out I was disconnected. And then I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? Right. So yeah, so that's the timeline of things. You know, so I'm very grateful and I'm very proud to have such talented students with me. Okay. Maybe it's also because I do a lot of filtering. And I think this filtering allows me to choose like the best of the best. You know, you'd be surprised how many people out there want to trade but can never trade. You know, so you guys, to me, when I read your interview answers, okay, so wait, I still want to talk to people as well. So, what are these success factors in trading? Okay, remember, trading is 30% your technique and 70% how you use it. That is life. Okay, based on my experience, you know, why? Why is that when we teach people the technique, right? The exact same technique. Some people make it and some people don't. Is it talent? No. Is it hard work? Also no. It's the mindset. It's the mindset. Okay, so what kind of things do you have to adopt in order to succeed as a trader? So these are the kind of things you have to adopt. Number one, continuous learning. So when something, there are two types of losses in the market. Okay, there are two types of losses in the market. Number one, we have the avoidable losses, and the second one is unavoidable losses. Okay. Also, later we're going to learn the three things lah. Three things I'm going to teach you today. So we have the double confirmation, our direction, and we also have H4 setups. Okay, right. So just putting it out there, okay, so that I don't forget, because I think the last time I taught session 4 was quite a while ago, because every year I only take 4 batches. Okay, every year I take on 4 batches, and so you guys started in June. Okay, June, I think. No, you guys started in June, early June, or May, I'm not sure. But then the last time I taught this was back in April. But then it should be okay because I use this every day. So it's not really that much of a problem. Right. So next. So the thing that you have to adopt is continuous learning. Right. So there are two types of losses. Number one is avoidable losses, and number two is unavoidable losses. So avoidable losses are things that happen when you don't follow your analysis. Okay, when you don't follow your analysis. Okay, so the thing is, avoidable losses are usually personal problems that rise from your own doing. Okay, but unavoidable losses, which also happens, is that when you follow everything, but you still lose, right? And so you'd be surprised that if you had 10 losses, at least 7 of them are avoidable. Wait, who's this? Oh, cool. I'm here. Okay, so you'd be surprised that at least 7 of them are avoidable. And so how do you avoid them? So if this happens to you, just rewind the recording videos, look at it again, watch them again, fucking digest them, eat them up. Like, yeah, okay? And do continuous learning. If it doesn't work the way you want to, do a little bit of tweaking, okay? Do a little bit of tweaking and just learn, right? And then do not be scared to try things. Because if you're scared to try things, then you continue losing lah, right? So that is how. I have also a few more tips, but later. Okay, so let's get to some chart work. Right, so the double confirmation. So we have a few things. Oh my god, I'm so sleepy. What the fuck? Never mind. Right, doesn't matter. We got to finish this off. Let's see. Let me skim through this. So what is a double confirmation? Double confirmation is the closing of a candle. Right. So how does the closing of a candle influence how the market moves? Right. So one thing you're going to have to know is that the closing of the candle, a candle closing, is actually the language of the market. It is the language of the market. It is, if you really want to understand how the market works, right? If you really want to understand how the market works, how the market communicates to you, study closing price. Okay? Study how it reacts with levels, how it rejects, how it doesn't reject, how it breaks, how it disrespects, all in the logic of closing candles. Okay? So if you've seen my posts, it's what? SNR, TL, multi-time frame, logic. This is where logic comes in. Okay? So you can use SNR and trend lines and multi-time frame. But if you don't use it in a logical manner, in a manner where it's repeatable, you will lose. Okay? So double confirmation. This is how it goes. A double confirmation is essentially the closing of the candle and basically when a candle, when a level is respected. Okay, so what does it mean by a level is respected? Okay, so we have learned EQ, we have learned CC, right? The equilibrium setups, the confirmation candle setups. So how do you apply? How do you apply our double confirmation, our DC, to these things? So let's say you have this. Okay, like you have this, right? You have the CC, whatever. So let's say you're not really sure, okay? Let's say you're not really sure whether this setup can be taken or not, right? So actually there's a way to like take a first entry, but I'm not proficient in teaching that because it's more of an instinct thing. So when you use double confirmation, it gets rid of all the instinct work that you need to do in order to get a entry. So you see this, price goes here, and price closes with a shadow that rejects this thing. And it must be a green candle. Okay? So green for sell, red for buy. Okay? So when this happens, right? When this happens, if you are unsure whether to take a level or not, this is your final confirmation. This is the final thing you need to wait for in order to take an entry. Okay, but there's also another way. Another way will be taught in session 5. Okay, so when this happens, what you do is just take the entry without hesitation. Sell 5.00. Done. Okay, and most of the time, if everything is well, all is good, it just melts down like this. Okay, so there are millions of examples of this. This thing happens every single day. Okay, every single day. See, and for what? If you are looking to buy, for example, okay, this is sell. Okay, if you're looking to buy, for example, okay, for example, this is an EQ setup, right? So when that happens, okay, so when this happens, what? It has to close like this. It has to respect with a shadow. Okay, remember, if it closes like this, right? Remember, red for buy. Okay, closes respect. So this is only for double confirmation. Okay, double confirmation only. Okay, double confirmation only. So when this happens, don't hesitate, take the buy. Buy. Okay, more realistically, it's at what? 0.10 lah for you people. Okay, boom. And most of the time, it will rise. Okay, simple as that. So you can find millions of examples of this happening every single day. And so this is like your final, basically it's a final confirmation lah. There is not much else need to wait for other than this. See, M15. And yes, so let's go to time frames. We're finally going to talk about more time frames. So there's a double confirmation. Question number 1. Okay, I will ask myself the questions even before you ask the questions. Okay, because I've been teaching this for more than a year now. Because people have been complaining, sir, why do you update your technique? Why do you update your technique? Because I know so much techniques in my head, and so I just mix and match them at certain points. Okay, and so I realized that is a fault in my favor. So I was like, okay lah, never mind. I'm never going to change anything I teach anymore until I die, probably. Okay, so this is the thing. Question number 1. So what time frame does the double confirmation have to be used at? So the double confirmation works well in 4 time frames: M5, M15, M30, H1. Okay, so did you forget about H4? No, H4 is a totally different ball game. H4 is a totally different ballpark. It's different. Okay, H4 only taken on direct entries. H4 has to be taken on dot, on the spot. Okay, right. Next, number 2. Question number 2. Does the double confirmation have to be used on the same time frame? Yes. The answer is yes. So let's say your EQ level or your CC level is at M30. What is... So, so let's say your EQ or CC level is at M30, right? So right now, what time frame do you have to wait for the double confirmation at? M15 or M30? The answer is M30. If your setup is on H1, for example, what time frame do you have to wait for the double confirmation for? The time frame you have to wait for double confirmation for is H1 as well. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so if you are monitoring that time frame, you have to wait for the closing price of that time frame as well. Okay, so what if M30 and M15 closes all at the same time? Right. Question number 3. Okay, don't worry. I have all the questions stacked in my head already. Right. Question number 3. let's say it's 1:30 p.m., for example. Do I have to wait for the M15 or the M30? In these scenarios, you have to prioritize the M30, and if the M30 doesn't close as respecting or disrespecting anything, go for the M15. Okay, so what is an example of this? Come, let me show you. So you have 1:15, 1:30, 1:45, and you have 2 p.m., right? 2.0. Okay, so in these kind of scenarios, the time frame you have to prioritize the most is H1. M15, M30, M15 again, and then H1. So these are the highest time frames for that time limit lah. So of course you have 110, 105, and 110 as well. So these kind of things, the highest time frame that you have to monitor is M5 lah. Okay, and so that is how you play with time. And let's say it's 1:30 and M30 doesn't respect anything at 1:30. You go down to M15 and see what it respects. Okay, so that's the kind of thing you're going to have to cycle time frames according to the times. Okay, this might sound funny, but this is very, very powerful once you really take your time into understanding it. Okay, so it's 1:30, you watch the M30 first, and then you go to the M15. Okay, simple as. And all the questions are now answered for the double confirmation. Okay, let me see. See? Forever young. See? This. You see this level, close below, and then went up. And then you see this level, close above, and then it went up. And so every single day, you are going to find these kind of examples happening on every single time frame. M5, M15, M30, and H1. But as for H4, it is not the best example. Okay? See? Closes above, closes below, and then it jumps. Okay? And of course, there are still setups that fail. But remember, we are building on things, and as time progresses, your win rate will slowly increase. For example, in our first session, there's confusion, and then in the second session, it creates more confusion, but it answers the confusion of the first. And at the fifth session, there is no more confusion, hopefully. Okay? What else? So you got this. See this gap? Closed as a red candle, and then it flew. Okay? And let's see M30 now, because I've constantly been looking at the M15. See? It took this level, closed above, and then it flew. Okay? So is it hard? No, it's not hard. It's actually pretty fucking basic. Okay, see this level, took it, and then it dropped down. Okay, see this level, it failed. And yes, even with double confirmation, things can still fail. Okay, remember that. Okay, but just because it fails doesn't mean it works. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. Why? It is because at the end, because when you backtest, you have to realize, okay, one more thing. What makes a trader successful? A trader, to me, when being a trader, success starts, okay, continuous learning number one. Number two, when you have realistic expectations. I have a question for you. Are you hunting for the Holy Grail? Right. So, what is the meaning of the Holy Grail? What is the meaning of the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail essentially is the 100% win rate technique lah. But unfortunately, Bear in mind, I know a lot of traders, multi-millionaires. I don't know a billionaire yet lah. I don't have the billionaire in my contacts yet, but I know people who have tons of money. But guess what? Do they win 100% of the time? No, they don't. And looking for the holy grail, which is 100% win rate technique, will only make your progress slower. It will only make your progress slower. Why? It is because imagine you're hunting for a fucking dodo bird. Okay? You're hunting for a dodo bird, and you will hunt for a dodo bird, a fucking extinct dodo bird, until the end of your life. And you'll die first before you find a dodo bird. And so this will slow your progress. So you have to realize that you just have to take losses on the chin and just move on with your life. As long as your win rate is a minimum of 60%. Amongst my friends of traders, I know a person with only a 40% win rate, but he's still extremely profitable. Why? Because his RR is 1 to 2. Okay? So his risk is 1, his reward is 2. So when he wins, he covers up. It's just basic math. Okay? But with me, I don't want this. I want a minimum of 60%. And 60% is not hard at all to achieve. How many setups did we see just now? We saw 4 setups. 3 won and 1 failed. This is already 75% win rate. What else would you want? Okay? So if you really backtest all of this, yes, you won't, it won't be 100% because I still lose. Please bear in mind that I also lose. Okay? But is it very, very high? Yes, it is. Okay? So, fair enough. So, one more thing. Sir, another question. Can I flip accounts? Can I flip accounts without a 100% win rate? What kind of question is that? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Even with a fucking 50% win rate of 1 to 2 RR, you can flip accounts. It's just a numbers game. Okay? So don't worry too much about trying to find a technique that doesn't fail. Okay? Let's see some more. So M15, M30 covered, right? Let's see the H1 next. See? Works like a charm. No problem. This one failed, but there is a reason to that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This one is working. There's no problem. And it's nothing. It's nothing really. Once you remove the external expectations of the market, you tend to become a superhuman. Right. So how to spot if a setup is going to fail early? How do you do that? So there comes to the second part of our fourth session, which is direction. Right. So my direction is a little bit different. Okay? It's a little bit different than most of the Sifus in Malaysia's direction. Because if you want to learn with them, they'll usually say breakout is direction or storyline. But yes, I was a user of storyline. Okay, don't get me wrong. If you see my old videos, I was a user, but after a while, I realized that if I use storyline, I will be stuck to one frame of mind in which where let's say the weekly is in buy. Okay, weekly is in buys, and then let's say the H1 is in sell, for example. Okay, I tend to disregard the sell. I tend to disregard the sell, and then after a while, like I tend to miss a lot of opportunities. I only want to buy. But storyline is only good for long-term holding. Otherwise, storyline to me is something that you could just put it away. Don't worry about it. Okay? But long-term holding wise, storyline is the best. But I don't really use it or teach it anymore because I have my own way of looking at direction. And it's an interesting way of looking at it. Come, let me show you. Right. So, direction. Yes, losses are normal. But as a trader, what are you? You are a risk taker. And if you're a risk taker, what should you do? As a risk taker, your job is to take sensible risks. How to take sensible risks? By taking opportunities that have the highest chance of working out. So that is why it is very, very important for you to learn direction. Okay? Because if you don't practically have a certain bias towards the market, it's very, very, very hard for you to be sensible in taking certain risks with confidence. Okay? So what is my direction? My direction is a bit weird, but bear in mind, it works. Okay? A lot of the things that I explain are things that I don't think are conventional. But the thing is, you're talking to a guy who has made an okay amount lah, an okay amount in the market. Okay? And so, do you think a guy who has made an okay amount in the market trades like everyone else? Of course not. To have different results, you need to be a different person. Okay? Right. Let's get to work. So, direction to me comes from breakout setups. So, there are two things. We have the breakout rule and we have the H4 rule. Okay? The breakout rule and the H4 rule. So, what time is it now, by the way? Let me check. Oh, I've been yapping for 45 minutes already. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Right. So, we have breakout rule and the H4 rule. So this is what determines direction like in a nutshell. Okay. So let's explain the breakout rule first. Okay. The breakout rule states that let's say you have a shitty breakout, for example. Mhm. Okay, for example, right, you have a breakout and the double confirmation respects this and flies. For example, okay, and let's say there's a level here. Okay, imagine there's a level there lah. Imagine there's a level there. Okay, and it closes like this. So basically, it rejected the level, and the market is trying to tell you, I'm going down. I'm going down. But still, boom. And then you hit your SL. And then you wonder, right? You're like, T said that once it closes as a double confirmation, it's safe to take. But why when I take this, it doesn't work out? Right. So here's your answer. Again, remember, closing price is the language of the market. When the market has respected breakout setup, okay, it is the market saying that it's time to roll. It's time to roll. So it's time to go. Okay, the market is starting up its engine. It's ready to press the gas pedal, go to gear 2, and fucking go from 0 kilometers all the way to 100. Okay, so this will break. Up there will break. These things can be applied to 3 different setups. The breakout rule can be applied to 3 different setups. Okay, number 1, of course, it's like regular breakouts lah. Okay, no miss pun, there's no problem. As long as it's the classic breakout lah. Okay, once the market has respected that with a shadow, beware. Beware. Number 2, gap breakouts. And number 3 is your HNS. Okay, so while this might be weird, this is something I use on a daily basis. Let me see. I'm telling you. See this? You see how this H1 level failed? You see how this H1 level failed? Right. See this gap breakout, and then there's this, and then went down. Why is that? Look at this. See? And then it just pushed downwards. And so this is very, very normal. Okay? So after the market respected a breakout level, it's very, very normal for it to just ignore everything. Right? But then, sir, let me ask you the questions that you are going to ask to me before you ask them. Question number 1. When does the direction stop? When does it stop? When does it like, okay, so now it's already like touched a breakout for sell. And then if it's that simple, it means that it will drop down forever, right? It means that it will drop down until fucking the apocalypse lah. Okay, until gold goes to zero cents, $0. But that doesn't happen. Okay, that doesn't happen. So when does it stop? There are 2 ways. 1 way, I think. 2 ways lah, 2 ways. 2 ways to stop a breakout setup. 2 ways to stop the breakout rule. Okay, number 1, new price. So what is new price? What is this guy yapping about? You know, what does he mean by new price? So for example, let me draw it for you, okay? For example, Right, so this is respected now. This breakout gap is respected. And so now it's about like fucking light up lah. Because the market is telling you ready to start engines. Ready to start engine. Okay. If the key went into the hole, okay. But so of course this will break, everything will break. But let's say price goes up, finish already, and then price makes a new level. In these kind of levels, price makes a new level. Basically, it's not past price, it's new price. And this happens and respects this. Do not be scared to take this sell. 10.00, for example. Okay, boom, it will go down. Okay, so one way to wait for a breakout rule to be invalidated is by monitoring if new price has been created. Okay, so basically when a breakout setup has happened, the breakout rule has happened, you have to know that the market wants to break past structures and wants to make new structures. It's ready to start a new book. That is the cycle of the market all the time. Okay? Right. Next is the H4 setup. So H4 setups are weird. H4 setups, I'm going to make you a video on H4 setups when no, I'm going to make you a proper video on H4 setups, because I so forget already the full combos of it, because some of them just don't appear too much. Wait, let me give you an example of H4 setup. So let's say you have this. Oh my goodness. Wait. If you hear anything in the background, don't say anything. Okay? This is a level. And in it is another level. And so one thing about H4 setups is they are very, very weird. There's a certain way to use them. Okay? They are not your conventional CC setups, your conventional EQ setups. For H4 setups, all of them have to be EQ setups. Okay, but then it's a long explanation. Okay, it deserves a video on its own. So when I'm done with this session, I'm going to send you a video of how to identify H4 setups. Right. Because I also need to study back a bit of the H4 setups that I want to teach. Because to me, it's just eating at this point. So this one I cannot use. Oh my god. Chop. Where is the HNS? And in the HNS, there's another HNS. It needs a video of its own. It needs a video of its own. This one is a breakout. And in it, oh yo, what the fuck is this? So let me just explain this short and simple. So let me explain this short and simple. H4 setups are weird. So as of now, I think we have like what? We have like 8 H4 setup combos, but I'm not really sure. Let me recheck again later. Because the only ones that appear are only like 3, 4 lately. It really depends. But, sorry?
You're not done with the breakout.
What is it?
The breakout.
The breakout rule,
You just,
sorry?
yeah, you just give one. You said new price and you didn't call the number two.
Correct, new price. Yes, what about it?
Yeah, you said there are two of them.
There are 4.
No, you said there are two of them. You said there are two ways to stop the breakout two. And you just called the new price. And that's all.
Type. I need to read that. Type that. Right, 1 second. What I say again? It's more effective when you type because all of you are from different backgrounds and you guys have different accents. And so maybe I can understand your accent, but maybe your friends can't. So I'm going to have to accommodate for that as well. When you give one example of breakout rule, I said there are 2 ways. One example of breakout rule, there are 2 ways. Oh, okay. I get what you mean. Right. There are 2 ways for a breakout rule to be invalidated. Number 1 is new price. Number 2 is a H4 setup. So now we are going to move to H4 setups. So this thing, how do I tell you, it's a bit hard to teach because this is the most challenging. Out of the entire syllabus, this is the most challenging to teach, the H4 setups, because they are so fucking weird. But I'll try my best. Right. First of all, in H4, it's a CC, and H1, it's a CC. So, an example that I could give for you is, it's just very weird equilibriums, weird EQ setups. Okay? Weird EQ setups. So, let's say, over here, and this. And in H4, it looks like this. And in H1, it looks exactly the same. For example, it looks like this. Can you guys hear a background sound? I don't know. Okay, good. Right. So, when this happens, right? When this happens, and you look at the H4 and the H1, both is CC. So when that happens, you can take the entry. You take directly. Okay? And so the most common is CC, classic, BO, classic, gap, and well, these are the most common. Okay, breakout to breakout, breakout. These are the most common that always appear. Okay, when these setups appear, just take them without hesitation. Okay, the setups that cannot be taken, I'll send you examples of this later lah. Okay, because right now H4 setups are rare in the market. They don't want to appear. Most of the setups in the market right now are H1, M30, M15, M5 only. Okay, those are the only setups that appear lately. H4 setups are particularly rare. Why? Why are they rare? Because the market is on a huge uptrend. It's like this. Okay, so when this happens, You will not find any H4 setups here because it's already at the all-time high. Okay? Usually H4 setups appeared a lot back in the early of the year when the market on the H4 time frame was like this. Okay? So right now, because the market is trending, there are no examples of any good H4 setups. Okay? But never mind. So the H4 setups that cannot be used. Number one, classic in classic. Cannot be used on H4. Number two, gap in gap. Okay? And another one is what I forgot already. I forgot already another one. There's one more. Because they don't appear anymore. I think if you really want to use H4 setups, they're going to appear end of this year when it's actually ranging. Okay? But otherwise, they won't appear much. Okay? Because the market is not ranging. The market is just pushing up and up and up. Last but not least is, yes, HNS and HNS. Okay? So, there's also, over here, gap in HNS. Yes. Let me find an example for you in the far left. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. See? Yes, a gap in CC. It's also good. Gap, CC. So this one, you open the H4 setup. What is in there? So this is a gap. When you open it, it's a CC. It's a CC. So when that happens, do not be scared. Take the setup. Okay? Take the setup. Don't be scared. But H4 timeframes, H4 setups, in my opinion, the win rate is a bit lower than what I'd expect. Okay? So but then, one thing. What is the advantages and disadvantages of the H4 setup? Advantages. RR is very high. Disadvantages. RR is very high. Usually starts a big movement. Okay. Sharp. Okay. The disadvantage, a lower win rate. Doesn't happen all the time. My God. Happen all the time. And that's all. That's all. In comparison to the double confirmation, EQ, and CC, this has a low win rate. It doesn't happen all the time. But the RR is very high, usually gives a big movement, and it's sharp as fuck sometimes. So, what is the solution? The solution is only take H4 setups when you are already in profit. This one is for you to swing. Okay? Only take H4 setups when you are in profit. Otherwise, don't take H4 setups. Because this one is basically like taking drugs lah. Okay? It's like taking the harder drugs. Okay? Everything else is just cigarettes in comparison to H4 setups. Okay? They are risky, but if it goes, it goes. I've had many zero float setups on H4. A lot. So many. But I've also failed so many setups as well. But then every single setup that worked, usually it's a swing setup. You know, I could just hold it for days and it just never goes down. Okay? And yes, that's the only two ways to block a breakout rule. New price and H4 setups. And again, How do you block a H4 setup if it's a big movement, right? How do you block it? Well, there's only one. There's, again, two more ways to block a H4 setup. Number one is new price. Okay, price has to make a new price lah. If it's flying because of a H4 setup, you can only sell if you have a new price. And number two is a countering H4 setup. Countering H4 setup. If let's say you have a sell H4 setup, and then there's a buy H4 setup that appears below, just take that buy H4 setup. Don't worry about it. Okay? And we are done. We are done for session 4. Okay? Let me see. Setups, SL and TP. For me, yes. H4 setups, sometimes, it really depends. Right now, okay, so my SL for regular setups used to be 20. Okay, my SL for regular setups used to be 20, but now I had to increase it to 30 because of how the market is. But for H4, usually I will adjust my lot, and then I'm going to have a 50 pip SL, which is just a little bit bigger. That's the maximum I'll take. But let's say I use like what, a 5 lot, for example. Let's say I use 5 lots. If I'm taking a H4 setup, I use 2.5 because my SL is 50 instead of 30. So that's a solution to it as well. Okay? So yes, you're going to find that sometimes it's zero float, but sometimes it floats a little bit more than you like, but you have to adjust your lots to make sure that you can accommodate to such loss. Okay? So the breakout rule, TP for regular setups, I don't really have a proper TP, but my minimum is 1-to-1. It's normally which time frame you take the trades? All time frames. Hey, it's not like I taught you only one time frame. You know, all time frames I teach. So the breakout rule, what time frame are you using it for? All time frames. Okay, all time frames can be used. So another question for the breakout rule. Let me show you a thing. Honestly, H4 setups are not my favorite. Okay, but I will show you just for the sake of showing, because that's my job. Right, 1 second. So this is a H1 setup, but why did it fail? Because of M15. So the question here is question number 3. Can M15 fail? Yep. Can M15 fail a H1 setup? Yes. Yes, it can. That's why before you take a setup, you have to look at every time frame. Look at it first. Look, when you take a H1 setup, look at M30 and M15. Okay? You look at M15. M5 cannot fail anything. M5 cannot fail anything. M5 is too weak to fail anything. But M15 can. M15 can fail a M30 setup. It can fail a H1 setup. But H4 is ultimate. H4 doesn't give a shit whatever time frame you are on, whatever rule you are on. It can break you anytime. Okay? Right. Good question. So normally take time today, all time frames. TP for regular setups, I don't really have much of a TP, but 1-to-1 is my minimum. So the breakout rule, what time frame are you using it for? All time frames. So it's best to check a time frame BOs. Okay, yes, Josh. Why does Josh always get the assignment? I hate Josh. Right. So, sir, how we cut the noise? We have so much levels to take on the M15. How do you cut? Try practicing first. There is not so much levels. Try practicing first. you're going to find that it's not noise, you're just gliding with the market. You're just gliding together. When you really look at certain movements, there is no other way to explain it other than the M15. So look at that as well. What scenario will make you use the one-to-one? All scenarios. Every scenario, I will have a minimum of one-to-one. That's my minimum take profit. It's either one-to-one or I take a BE. After DC, when can we take the entry? Right after the DC. So let's say 130 is a DC for M30, you take it over there. You take it at 130. You take at the entry level at late, just a little bit late over here. Right after it closes, you take it. You don't have to wait for it to touch back. No, nothing like that. Okay? Right. And in our final session, session 5, you are going to learn deeper on time frames and what can fail a double confirmation. How to sell even though the market says buy, and how to buy when the market says sell. Okay, that is the final piece of knowledge. Okay, that is honestly I think it just completes you lah as a trader. And I think if you use it well, you're going to be able to, I think, have okay success in the markets. Right? After DC, you can enter immediately. So we don't have to be rigid towards our buyers. Not exactly, no. As long as if it's a breakout setup, you have to follow the breakout rule very, very carefully. Okay? Follow the breakout rule very, very carefully because that is your guideline. Okay? When you see a setup break, a lot of the times it's usually because you missed the breakout rule. My question is session 5 then. Wait. Okay. How do you manage your trades when you break even? Usually I break even when it's like a minimum of 1-to-1. A minimum of 1-to-1, I'll break even. Otherwise, I don't mind taking the SL. I don't mind. If they're DCC already, double confirmation, yes. But price close back past the DCC, not here SL. Do we close? No, you don't close. You don't close. You don't. You just chill. Okay? You just chill. Okay? Can I be recorded? How can I learn it? Okay. If you cannot make the 5th session, don't worry. I'm going to take it very, very, very slowly so that all of your friends can take notes. Okay. So I'm sure notes will be shared inside here and they will have, because session 5 is not a lot. Session 5 is not a lot. Session 5 is like 70% of me talking and sending you off, 30% knowledge. But that 30% knowledge is very, very important. Very, very important. It's only at 2 topics. Okay? Do you take partials? No, I don't. It's either all or nothing. Because I only have one lot. Okay? I only take one order. So if I take 3 or 4 layers, perhaps I take partials, but I don't. So do we look for roadblocks? To me, if there is no, you try it first. Okay, if you see my logic, it's basically when you have a breakout, there is no more roadblocks. The only roadblock for a sell or a buy is new price. If price makes a new price, that is your roadblock. You don't really have to take it. You don't have to think about anything else. So if let's say price respects a classic setup, then I'll show you here. So price respects is classic, for example. Ooh, goes down, right? And let's say there's another classic over here. It respects. As you sell here, right? This respects already. You close this sell and now you buy. Not a problem. Why? Because the breakout rule is not activated. The breakout rule hasn't been activated. It hasn't been activated. So as long as no breakouts have been touched, you can bounce with price as much as you want. It will respect most of the time. Okay? I hope that answers the question. When can we expect the recording for this one? Unfortunately, I'm very, very bad with sending recordings, but I'll send it again. The best I can say is as soon as possible, because Zoom is a bitch sometimes and it just doesn't want to give my recording early enough. But I think you can expect it tomorrow. So we have a buy BO and the price moves up 50 pips. And then we have M15 get BO sell. Is that new price? No. What I mean is it has to make a new price. So let's say when price, okay, someone doesn't get the assignment, right? So when it touches this, everything over here is invalid. You can only take things that is newly made. That is how you think about it. This work on other forex pairs. You had USD CAD on watch list. Sometimes gold just bleed. Oh, I haven't really tried that much lah. Usually, no. The thing is, I have USD CAD because I margin called my first account, which was like 100 USD on USD CAD. So I made it my life's purpose to fuck USD CAD up, even if my knowledge isn't really that compatible in USD CAD. Can you teach us account management and trade risk management? Of course I can. I'll teach you that in the fifth session. What date do you reckon the fifth session will be? In the next 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks. Yes. Right. So I think that's all for now. I don't want to confuse all of you too much today. Right. So thank you. Or which do you recommend for swing? Try the same setup. All setups can be swing. You have to realize sometimes some setups, even if it's M50, it can still go 1,000 pips. It's not a problem. Loved it today. Thank you. How you look for entries? Well, fifth session. Okay. In the fifth session, everything is complete. So I can show you totally how I look at the market, how I see things, how I look things. Right now, we are already at 80%. We're already at 80%. So when we reach 100% of understanding together, then I can finally show you, okay, this is what I look for, this is what I don't look for, this is what I ignore, this is what. So basically, we can look at it together in a way where most of you can understand together. Okay. So I cannot really look at it. I cannot really give you a back testing session right now. Okay. That's it for our final session. Can you fire a gun in the market? So you can, okay? But you have only 80%. So if you want to try, sure, be my guest. But it's not a bad time for you to try now. Okay? Right, everyone. Thank you for joining. And I'll see you. No, you'll see me in the recording. And I'll see you later. Okay? Bye-bye. Love you guys. Mwah.